Taurus, this is your check-in. We are taking a look at what's next for Taurus. We're going to pull some tarot cards and then some oracle cards to top it off. So what is next for Taurus? Ouch. Okay, interesting. I'm going to take them as they come out. We have the Three of Swords. We have the Emperor. We have the Chariot. And underneath it was the Ten of Coins, which is interesting. Ten of Coins, one of the most exciting cards in the deck. Coming out with one of the least favorite cards in the deck at the beginning. But the way it came out, I'm reading it that way. So the fact that the Ten of Coins, it lays beyond the Chariot. I think what is next is a call to action. There might be somebody in your life that has exerted a lot of control over you. And it might not be a person, it might be a situation, it might be a job. Whatever it is, there's something that has exerted a lot of control over you and made you feel stuck, like you had no choice but to bleed out, is what I'm hearing. And what is next for you is regaining your autonomy, regaining your authority, regaining your control, and moving. Just moving away from that pain, from that controlling situation, moving towards what you want to do, whatever it is, but it's something that you want, not somebody else's expectations in you. And that's where your happiness and your abundance lies, is beyond that movement. So what is next for you is really like a regaining. And notice that we have the Emperor and not a king. This means that you had control all along. You might have made yourself smaller. You might have given up some control, but it was yours for the taking. It was yours. It was never gone. And so what is next for you is really just that reclaiming of control. I'm also getting that with this Three of Swords, you might have acted impulsively. You might have acted out in pain. You might have said or done some things that were reactionary, and you're really regaining the sense of control of, taking a break before you respond and before you react, really keeping composure, getting back to keeping composure and being able to move on, and again, towards what is going to be very fulfilling to you. Let's get some advice on how to deal with this. Especially want more on this Three of Swords. Let's get some advice. Yep, moving on. We have the Six of Swords. Moving on from this painful situation, no matter what it was, and really moving on with the lessons that it offered you. So taking what you can from the situation, as painful as it was, there was something to gain for you. Standing up for yourself. The Knight of Swords coming out with the Emperor. Standing up for yourself and possibly speaking up for yourself. Again, if you were in a situation where you were controlled. Interesting. We have the Page of Cups, and then we have the Knight of Cups at the bottom of the deck. There's something that is intuitively drawing you out of whatever situation you were dealing with. There's something that is intuitively calling you and pulling you. And that is eventually going to lead to a lot of happiness for you and a lot of success, if you follow that intuition. It is something that is quite, feels kind of like a whisper at this point in time, but it's going to get louder because we're going from the Page of Cups to the Knight of Cups. It is something, and then we have the Nine of Coins at the bottom of that. It is something that is calling you emotionally, but it's going to lead you, because it's calling you, it's going to lead you to action, to moving, and it's leading you obviously in the right direction, right? It is leading you in a direction that you want to go instead of staying stuck in the past. I'm definitely thinking that there's an ask here to stand up for yourself, to offer yourself some compassion, and to move on from the heartache that you've experienced, and that you still have a lot to give, and you have a lot of there's a lot of emotional authority that you're regaining here. We have the 8th house, and we have Libra, and we have Uranus, bringing some stability to, when it comes, 8th house is very much about like control, and it can be like, that house can definitely show where you're being gaslit by who. Very controlling, deeply passionate, but very intense energy. And so having Libra come out and Uranus brings some change into regaining balance and equality when it comes to that. Let's get some cards on how you can get in closer communication with spirit if you wanted some guidance around this, or your higher self. Interesting. We have mirror. And this is telling me to do some mirror work, meaning manifesting is at the bottom of the deck, meaning really taking a look at yourself, whether that is physically in the mirror or whether that is like journaling and talking about how you see yourself. This is very much about regaining a perspective of authority, regaining a more accurate vision of yourself. So Spirit is asking you to really focus on what you see in the mirror. It's asking you to reflect. And then we have weave. I like this because it goes very well with the Chariot and the 10 of Pentacles, because it's about not just bolting out, but like having a plan, having weave in this sense is really about creating a net, a safety net for yourself, which is also what the 10 of Pentacles is about. And the spider is weaving its net intuitively, instinctively, and you are being called, there's something that you're being called to weave very intuitively. And it's really gonna, you're not gonna get to the 10 of Pentacles overnight, but the motivation is there. The motivation, the call to action is there. And it really starts with you regaining perspective over what you have control over. You know what, I'm just also thinking about if you are a Taurus rising, we have the North Node traveling through your first house. And then also we have, at this time, Mars is almost through, but Mars has been traveling through your first house, as well as Uranus. So there is a lot of change in how you perceive yourself and how you interact with the world and how you present yourself to the world. So that might have been changed, that may have been changing recently. So I think there is, and especially with the North Node is something that is calling us deeply. And so this definitely makes sense because it is very much about something that is like, and the North Node will be going through your house for another like year or so. And it's really about something that is deeply, deeply asking you to be true to yourself. And that ringing is just going to get louder and louder. So you're not going to be able to ignore it, which is why you are in a position to take back authority, because the North Node otherwise won't let you. Supremely free. Wild rejoice in jungles, not in cages. Not in cages is very much about you breaking free. This is such a Taurus card too. Look at it. It's very much about breaking free from confinements. Whatever confinements other people have set upon you, you're breaking free from that because it's just not comfortable. It doesn't feel right. And you're sitting in that cage thinking like, I have all this authority. I just didn't use it. And that's very much a Taurus energy, right? To know how much power you have. When you think about a bull, like the literal bull, they are such sweet, loving creatures until you piss them off. And when they're pissed off, their power is immense and incredible. So this is very much you being like, wait a minute, I don't have to put up with this. I have a lot of power and I have a lot of, I'm thinking mass, like there's just a lot to back you up, and that's not just physical but also spiritually. You have such a force, that when you decide to move, when a bull decides to move, nothing will stand in your way. And that is why that 10 of Pentacles comes out behind the Chariot. When the bull decides to move, nothing can stop you from your goal. And you're being instinctively called to move towards that, whatever it is. And that is what's next for you. I'm going to leave it there. I hope I get to read for you again sometime. And until then,